Friends, leaders, scientists, students in healthcare, you know how intense and competitive our industry has become. Well, we have the right global platform for you of investors, industry leaders, and experts for you to test, train in an Olympic environment that you will not forget. If you have a concept or product across drugs, diagnostics, devices, medtech, medical affairs, and marketing, and you want to accelerate the access, continuity, and quality of healthcare, and be eligible for $5,000 prizes, top tier journal media, articles, blogs, podcasts, then join our event, which is on demand, virtual, at your leisure. Fourth annual Medical Innovation Olympics. Click the link below. We'll see you there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly discussion about this event as the anticipation builds up. And the event I'm talking about is the Medical Innovation Olympics. This is the fourth year that we're bringing together scientists, consultants, founders, leaders from all over the world. My name is Tim Mikilashvili. I'm an industry veteran in pharma, biotech, enthusiast of innovation and competition as well. And I'm here today with John Hemming, who is a leader in healthcare, a scientist, researcher on our board for this Medical Innovation Olympics event, as well as Chris Piedmont, investor, and also an innovator, independent thinker, also on our board. So John and Chris, we want to make this a very personal session here today, reflect a little bit. Think back to when we had to invest some of our time and resources during unpredictable times and in a very volatile but intense ecosystem that healthcare system really represents today. So, well, first of all, let's introduce ourselves again to our audience, but let's address some of the questions that we've been receiving from potential competitors and attendees. John,
well. I think that when you start up with a new idea, I started when I was 23. I'm now 65. I'm still starting up with new things at the moment. You've got to put something into it, and it has to be to some extent speculative because you can't be guaranteed a return. When I started when I was 23, I could have stayed in my job, had a guaranteed salary, but in the end, I decided to spend money on the costs of setting up a business, and I'm doing the same again now. But having had already created a business which moved from like a few £1,000s to tens of millions of pounds of turnover a year, I'm back in the same game again, and I've just spent £5,000 to set up another business. Today my new business got approval to sell on Amazon, so I'm quite pleased with that. But it's taken me some money to get to that stage, and I still don't know if I'm going to make any money out of it. But unless you have the confidence to put some cash up front for something, you're not. And time, obviously, time is money. Time is opportunity. Then you're not going to get very far. In practice, events like this need to charge a reasonably small fee, to be honest, to weed out the people who are not serious. Because if people aren't willing to put a couple of $100s in, so for their entry, they're not serious. They're not gonna make a business out of something. And this is probably one of the best value bangs for the buck, as they might say, not in England but in America. Actually, perhaps I shouldn't say that in America. It doesn't really work in American, does it? But the thing is, this is an opportunity to get your idea in front of people without there being the lost opportunity cost of having to create an opportunity to present to investors, and you might get investment. You could get like a substantial investment from entering this competition, and also you get all the promotion as well. So I'm surprised to hear that anyone is thinking that paying a few dollars is a problem, or pounds or
Yeah.
euros.
Yeah, we're definitely getting those questions, and thanks
No,
for
well,
addressing.
they're not serious. They're not serious. Fair enough. Well,
Yeah,
it saves our time dealing with people as judges. It saves our time dealing with people who are not serious.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Great. Couldn't say it better. I appreciate your being candid and direct, John. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for champions
Yeah,
who know how to
exactly.
invest their time.
I run a band, and it actually costs me money to run the band at the moment. But if you don't put some money in, you don't get anything to happen.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, please,
Yeah,
please.
happy to add to that. Absolutely. Well, John is as usual is absolutely right. Starting a business, any venture, quite frankly, is not for the timid or the passive. It does take a tremendous commitment of your time, your energy, in many cases, the initial capital to get things started. This is one of the reasons I started Neoterra, is the challenge of getting early capital. We specifically look for people with good ideas that are solving problems that need to be addressed, that have the necessary motivation, dedication, intelligence, that have done their homework on their markets and the products that they're going to create. And given that, we are more than happy to talk about making an investment with them to help take them forward. But sometimes it's very difficult in the early days to get funding. I honestly tell you, I have twice in my life sold my primary residence to use the money to start a business. Fortunately, both times it worked out. It just as easily couldn't have. But it takes that kind of commitment and courage sometimes to go forward with some of these things, particularly if they're new and innovative and different than what the world is used to seeing. It's challenging. Many people will tell you that your idea is not going to work, that it's too different, or that no one's going to change or adopt that, or they don't see the value. Part of what you need to have too is the persistence to know that you've done enough work and have spent enough time thinking about what you're doing, and had enough encouragement from others that you are on the right path to go forward. It's a difficult thing to start a venture, to be an entrepreneur. And although funding is a component of it, there are other factors as well. Primarily, as I said, I look for people with the passion and the dedication to get through the hard times and come out the other side. This is a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and we have also, a lot of flexibility where we realize that there may be some students, nonprofit organizations, and we have various different types of levels of registration as well. In fact, a limited number of scholarships that we offer for students as well. Okay, so take a look at the registration. It's in the comments. But I agree with you both. Also, just reflecting myself on my experiences, and yes, this is one of the top FAQs that I'm receiving. It's usually accelerators don't charge money, right? I'm a competitor. Why do I have to pay? I'm sharing my ideas. And look, from my own perspectives, I remember a very difficult time early on when I got into the industry. I had a first role in a large pharma company where I had the right mentors, the right leaders around me, but the environment was a little bit difficult and challenging. There was a hostile takeover of our company. Aventis was being acquired by Sanofi. And this was my first, year. I was very energetic. I was, making a name for what I did. I had the scientific curiosity, enjoyed being put in difficult positions and everything like that. Yet I was struck with some unpredictable, predicament, right? And I needed to take the matters into my own hands a little bit, right? Realize that, look, I was working 60-hour weeks in addition to that fellowship. right? A full-time fellowship at Sanofi where I didn't treat myself as a fellow. I really, if got immersed myself into a lot of, a lot of types of activities and projects that a lot of senior leaders needed decision making and input on. Um, However, what I realized is I had to take some time off and I had to network. I had to invest, I remember, quite a lot of money into a seminar that, into a live meeting that, convened a lot of leaders in medical affairs, for example, in pharma, because I had this one goal of working closer with physicians. And there was this one role that I had set my eyes on, and it just so happened that it was that investment, which was quite a lot for me, that was not expensed by the company, given that it was a hostile takeover. But I took control and initiative, and that's what led me to my first interview and my first role afterwards at AstraZeneca, for example, right? And so that's always kind of one of those turning points that's in fresh in my mind, and that kind of reminds me that, look, you need to sometimes make those difficult decisions yourself and invest a little bit of time or resources and money as well. So and given where I was at that time, trying to pay off student loans and being a new industry professional early in my career, I made the right call, looking back. So we talked about that a little bit, the money perspective. Now, what about the time? Okay, a lot of people also kind of say, oh, usually, pitch competitions are one day. You go in, you pitch. It's maybe a couple of hours, right? It's live, not virtual. All right. How do I really dedicate 16 days here? Why do I need to dedicate 16
Well,
days? Okay.
it
Like
isn't
the
16
so
days, is it? It's a number of times. It's virtual. It was very good for me when I participated last year because I didn't have to leave Birmingham in the middle of England and
Mhm.
come across much that I may not be allowed in America at the moment. You never know with the current government. But the fact is, well, it's all very unpredictable.
Yes.
And that's in itself. Well, risk is a four-letter word, and risk is always risky. It has to be, really. But I think you've got to commit some time, but it's not 16 days. It's over a 16-day period, a number of occasions, each one of which is promotion. So when you're trying to get promotion and you have a number of opportunities, you're not generally sitting there listening to everybody else doing things all the time. You're doing your own bit, and you're doing your promotion, goes on the internet, goes out live, is recorded, is available later. The thing about the internet is always live is useful, but actually the recording is, compared to going to an event that is not available on the internet. So you do that, and that's it. This is something that has continual benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I mean, it is over a period of 16 days, but that has distinct advantages. I mean, speaking from my perspective at Neoterra, it lets me interact with the contestants, the competitors, on multiple occasions. That allows us to spend more time together. It allows me to get more familiar with their venture and what they're planning on doing in between conversations. And quite frankly, it's much more likely that I'll come away with a good understanding of who they are, what they're trying to do, and the possibilities of success. Many groups that have these pitch competitions. By the way, I'm sitting here thinking of several that charge anywhere from a few $100s to, in some cases, thousands of dollars for their participants. So, it's not unusual to charge, and as John pointed out, it filters out those that aren't serious about what they're doing. But these can be extremely short. I attended one yesterday, 10-minute pitch, 10-minute Q&A, and that was it. And in that 20 minutes, you're supposed to assess whether or not this is a venture that you might potentially be interested in. It's not enough time. So anyone that is interested now has to recontact that particular entrepreneur, set up meetings, and continue to have discussions. Well, if you get 5 or 6 people that are interested, that's 5 or 6 separate discussions you need to have over the same period of time. The amount of time you end up spending with that approach versus what we're doing here is enormous. With the approach that we take here, you have the opportunity to speak to everyone at once on those multiple occasions. You'll make far more progress in getting, potential sources of funding, partnerships, perhaps other forms of assistance that you never imagined. And overall, I think we have a much better format than some of these other organizations.
Yeah. You've both evaluated a lot of worthy ideas, concepts, and also their leaders as well, right? So I think what you're both kind of getting to is that it's often those first impressions are not always very accurate, right? And you're left after these competitions with more lingering questions that you can maybe solve throughout the 16 days. And
It's not every day on the 16 days, though, is it? I can't remember exactly how many days I participated in last year. It was about 4 or 5 at the most, and it wasn't the whole day, and I didn't have to travel.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna
virtual
be
is far, far better because I could do it around everything else I was doing. All I had to do is schedule in. If you think about actually traveling, it may take you a day to travel to something. So you go for a 10-minute exercise and you spend 3 days doing it. The cost of the traveling is greater, of course, as well as then the participation fee. I can't think, is anyone seriously thinking it's 16 days where you have to be there all 8 hours for each day? It's not the case.
Yeah, no. So yeah, let me maybe share the format a little bit and clarify that. And
Go
first,
to the format because I remember it being about 3 or 4, maybe 5 sessions, each of which is about an hour, something like that, on different days. And I just slotted it around everything. It's like lunch, really, because you don't have to eat lunch every day. Intermittent feeding is quite good for health at times.
Yeah.
You give lunch a miss and do one of these sessions.
Right. Okay. So first of all, the 16 days. Why 16 days? There's a symbolic meaning for it too, because as you know, Olympics take place over 16 days. Okay. You may remember the Olympic days of the 16 days of glory from Bud Greenspan, I believe. In the United States, there were videos that were made, highlight videos that have their timeless character that they've retained over time. And so we're spreading kind of the excitement, the learning over the course of 16 days. But like John mentioned, they're on demand.
You don't run 100 meetings every day.
Yeah, we don't have meetings every day. There's inspirational announcements and videos and podcasts from previous meetings that are sent out through announcements, but they're basically not required. Okay, there is a opening ceremony, right? Like would be the case for all Olympics, where there's a lot of learning. Okay, but everything's recorded, and it's recorded within that time. So ultimately, we're asking you and challenging you who are watching this video to set aside some time from your daily routine and focus on forming new, deeper relationships than you are used to. Okay, and you can do it. You can set your schedules. We recommend that you attend our opening ceremony, or most of it, because let's look at just the agenda here, which I'm sharing. Okay, this is just the opening ceremony. We're going to talk about our theme this year. Brings our Olympic athletes and champions, swimmers, Chris Cook, Alex Giorgetti. Okay, we're going to talk about neuroscience-driven strategies with an executive in commercial, governance, and medical as well, from Roche, Genentech, from GSK, other companies as well, Sandra Walker. Then we're going to talk about how to implement transformation with Hani Lee during uncertain times. She has led medical teams as an executive at Pfizer across Japan, Korea. She has a lot of diverse experience. So you can learn from our executives, our leaders. We're going to meet our competitors. Okay. And this list is increasing as we speak. We need to talk about that because we have our second session of the Olympic Trials coming up September 1st to the 12th. Okay. Then we're going to really kind of get to know each other in an Olympic village in spirit, right? With networking, breakouts, compete on medical innovation trivia, talk about health system readiness for AI and innovation with, again, leaders across different industries, not only healthcare, but also finance and tech. Melissa Norcross brings that expertise, for example. Wendy Catman, Eddie Power, Vivek, who's not on this list on this webpage yet, but he's also joining us. He's the lead of medical engagement and at Pfizer, who's joining Eddie Power, who's been an executive in Pfizer globally for many years, talking about creating momentum and how to measure and implement new medical performance KPIs and how they impact the culture of organizations and help them become fit for future challenges ahead, right? So Chris is going to interview me to talk about that for 15 minutes. Then talk about access. How can patients access these care? What are some of the key factors in payer decisions? When we think about all this innovation, and as we always do, we have a tremendous panel of experts who are leaders. Our president of the Geneva College of Longevity Science, Dominic Thor, David Barzilai, Dr. Mishkat Shahata. There are two other speakers we've added just in this week, Uma Senthil Kumar and Keith Comito. And our last session is going to be quite, I think, important for many of us, of you watching here in healthcare, who may be looking for new opportunities or who may be networking at this event, who may be out of a position currently in starting their own consultancy, which I know many executives are doing currently in the industry. So we're going to talk about how to reward technology versus scientific domain expertise. Bart, Chris is going to join me, and we have two healthcare leaders, HR, human resource leaders, who are going to provide their insights, which are very relevant as well. Kim Mack and Christina Smith. And so that's how we're going to kick off this event. But we have our sponsors, okay, who is Amadea Pharma, Woven Health Collective, and media partners who have a strong community that's global of founders, leaders, investors, like the Bullpen Club. They're our media partner for the second year in a row. New York Bio this year, which is NYU, New York University affiliated incubator as well. All right, so this is just a preview of just that first day of learning. So whether or not you compete here, right, or you attend, you'll be able to learn. You'll be able to network and talk about some of the topics that are most timely today. What are some other calls of action before the second wave of the Olympic trials? As we kind of wrap up, and I want to ask that question. Let's invite some of our competitors to participate in the Olympic trials. Register first, go to the comments, and then make sure to participate. We're only days away. So Chris, John, what is
I would emphasize to people, they don't have to attend to be a competitor, they don't have to attend every event. Like one of the advantages of virtual things today, while sitting in Birmingham, I've attended a conference in Copenhagen. I have attended an international call about the ALS Longitude Prize, which is about trying to solve motor neuron disease, which is what we say in England for ALS. And I've attended this, and I actually will attend a longevity investors meeting after this, when this is, of course, my priority, because that's going on at the same time, but it's also a bit longer, so I'll be able to go to it after this. And that's the great thing about virtual events is there are things where the competitors need to be there to promote their situation, but it's not like, if you were like a 100-meter runner, they're not asking you to go running 100 meters 10 times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would simply add the value you'll get out of this is far worth the time and the entrance fee. The people you're going to meet, the conversations you're going to have, the things you're going to learn, the recognition you'll receive, worth many, many times, the time and the money. I would encourage anyone who's starting a venture that's needing to seek out capital, relationships, guidance, that they sign up and participate.
Yeah, exactly. If you need anything, really, if you can do it all on your own without anyone else's help at all, no money, no ideas, no challenge, then do it yourself. But if you think that you don't know everything in the universe, and you perhaps could learn a little bit, then here's a place to do so.
Yeah, there's an old saying: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've certainly learned that throughout the last 4 years running this event, in addition to being a founder and kind of making that transition from being an employee. So, and I appreciate your support, John, Chris, and all the amazing leaders we have. So September 1st, we're days away. I want to show you the app, okay, the platform where networking becomes easier. Okay, so this is not just a pitch and you're done. You're going to receive questions from our expert judges. You're going to have one presentation per week, 10 minutes after that will be recorded. All right, so this is the platform. This is what you're going to be seeing every day. All right, these are our sponsors here. These are some of our sessions, and as I mentioned, Kim Mack, Christina Smith are joining us for that opening session. Here are just the images of our other speakers whom I didn't show earlier: Keith Comito, Uma Senthil Kumar, for example. All right, but there's a lot of community discussion that takes place. We share articles. We ask questions and polls. There's polling. All right, and so and it's very simple to use. Okay. Sponsors have their showcase pages here as well, all right, where they can connect with their partners and competitors that may be of interest. This is our social wall as well, which I'll be posting. Which if you're looking and thinking about attending, competing, you'll see all our updates as they take place. Okay, so this is the link to the social wall. Okay, and I'll just finish with this registration page just to share with you that you need to use the discount code New York Bio, NYBIO, for 30% reduction off the registration. And as you can see, the prices vary based on your background. Students, there are also scholarships, as I mentioned, but these are first come, first serve. There's a few of them that have already been distributed, but there's, I believe, 5 left. If you're watching this, join our community. And we're already starting our discussions in the Huba platform app, which many of you may be familiar with through scientific conferences that you may have attended. Okay, nonprofits, patient advocates, how competitive, as I mentioned, our industry is becoming and how unpredictable. So that's how, we have thought about, really creating this timeless event year after year for you to be able to be fit for the future demands, right? The intensity, the competition, the learning, and the excitement that we promise you if you join, attend, and compete. So thank you very much for again attending. We'll close with our images and some sounds and sights of innovators in healthcare. Thank you.
Okay.